QCY's HT05 MeloBuds have long been one of my big recommendations for a top TWS under $30. But 18 months on and their successor is finally here, the MeloBuds Pro. The specifications have been brought right up to date for 2024, with QCY introducing a ton of new features, all of which we're going to go through in this review. We'll be looking at design and build quality, comfort and stability, including the 100 jumping jacks test. You're going to hear binaural samples, as always, both a sound test and an ANC test, so you can hear and judge that performance for yourself without having to take my word for it. You're also going to hear call quality tests in busy real life locations, and in those objective tests I'm going to include comparisons to the original HT05 as well as their other new release, the AilyBuds Pro Plus. Whilst this is the Pro version of the MeloBuds, it certainly doesn't feel like a Pro version pricing. Their official store on AliExpress has a sale coming up. You can pick these up from around £26, which is an absolute steal of a deal. I've left a link in the description. I've been buying QCY products for quite a few years now, and the thing I've noticed more recently is that their branding and the unboxing experience has definitely matured quite a bit. The MeloBuds Pro bring high-res audio courtesy of support for the LDAC codec. You've also now got adaptive active noise cancellation and surround sound, which is QCY's version of spatial audio. But the most striking change that you see immediately from the HT05 is in the design, both with the case and the earbuds themselves. Both the MeloBuds Pro and the AilyBuds Pro Plus share a more modern looking design with this gunmetal looking finish. Both of them feel more premium than their previous releases, with very subtle QCY branding on the front, a reset button and USB-C socket on the bottom, and a battery LED indicator just above it. It's an attractive and well designed case that is nice to use and has decent build quality. It's much more preferable than the HT05 case, which was quite flimsy and quite bulky by comparison. The shell design also sees a massive improvement, both aesthetically and ergonomically, with them essentially looking like an in-ear version of the AilyBuds Pro Plus. They've gone for a mirrored finish this time and have removed the overt branding and LED. It looks less generic, less bulky, and the rounded edges just make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing. The shorter stem also makes them much less angular. The nozzles are oval and not too large, so you can definitely fit some third-party tips on there. These are shallow insertion and similar fitting to something like the Soundpeats Air 4 Pro. The MeloBuds Pro not only looks better, but it feels more comfortable as well. That said, I did find that making adjustments on them would occasionally trigger a control sound. This seems to be down to the way that QCY have implemented in-ear detection, in that when you move it ever so slightly away from your ear, you'll find that triggering sound is as a result of it just being a little bit too sensitive. You do have a lot of configuration options when it comes to wear detection though in the QCY app. By default, when you remove at least one bud from your ear, it will both turn ANC off and pause whatever you're playing. The top two options here, you can switch off wear detection and you can switch off that ANC turning itself off. And the bottom option gives you loads of control. You can have it so that it will pause and resume play when you put them back in. You can have it so it will pause only, and at the bottom you can have pause and play, but with both earbuds rather than just one. It's an impressive level of control, but as I said, it is a little bit temperamental, although I did find that toggling that middle ANC option did allow it to perform a little bit better. Now obviously this is a nice feature to have, and certainly on a budget set I'm not used to seeing it. Usually it's in much higher price buds, but unless QCY can find a way of reducing that sensitivity a little, maybe through a firmware update, you may find yourself switching it off altogether. The app also gives you the ability to customize loads of the touch controls, in fact all of them apart from touch and hold, which on the right bud cycles through your different ANC modes. QCY's control customization is so good it even puts more expensive buds to shame. The only thing missing is the ability to edit which ANC modes they cycle through when you're holding down that right bud. Hopefully this is something QCY can add in the future. The touch controls are pretty responsive and they don't seem to trigger too much when you're using them with a hoodie or a beanie, which is a big bonus. They're IPX5 rated, giving you more than adequate protection against the elements. They're fine for running, only giving you a minor occlusion effect, and this can be improved even more with flatter third-party tips. Their excellent stability also makes them suitable for a variety of different activities in the gym, including weight training, HIIT and circuits. Regular viewers will know that I put all TWS that I test through a stability test of 100 jumping jacks to see if they stay in your ear at the end of it. And while some more expensive buds like Soundcore Liberty 4 NC and the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro failed, the MeloBuds Pro passed with flying colours, comfortably hitting the 100 mark. QCY claimed that the MeloBuds Pro have up to 46 dB active noise cancellation, which would make it quite an improvement over the original MeloBuds ANC. You've got a few different modes with up to 6 strength levels, but you've also got adaptive ANC, which uses the mics to assess how much environmental noise is going on around you and apply the optimal level of noise reduction accordingly. You've also got an anti-wind noise mode. There's only one setting for this, but I did find it worked pretty well. As you would expect, I tested the ANC out in a bunch of different specific scenarios, including commuting, which obviously you can see here. One of those scenarios was a busy coffee shop, and you're now going to hear for yourself how effective the ANC was in comparison to the HT05 and the AilyBuds Pro Plus, courtesy of this binaural sample. So as you heard there, the MeloBuds Pro are QCY's most effective buds so far when it comes to active noise cancellation. They've improved on the HT05 quite a bit, mostly on those lower frequency sounds, although they're getting better at negating human voices and conversations as well. Don't expect Bose level active noise cancellation, and remember how much you're paying for these, but in terms of bang for buck, I think they're performing really well. With a bit of tip rolling, you might even find further improvements. I used these from the Soundpeats Air 4 Pro, and it did take that ANC up a notch even more. Comparing their ANC against a few other models which I've reviewed recently, as you can see here, it's not top tier, as you would expect given the price, but it's very commendable that it's holding its own against the likes of the Oppo Enco X2 and Realme Buds Air 5 Pro, much more expensive sets. The addition of adaptive ANC mode is also most welcome. It performs pretty well. I didn't notice any instances where it wasn't at the optimal level, and it did improve battery life quite a bit as well. So if you're one of those people who is all about your battery life but you still want active noise cancellation to do a job, then adaptive mode might be the one for you. Transparency mode has improved massively as well. You've got 6 different strength levels, with 4 being the most comfortable and 5 and 6 letting more sound through but also applying quite a bit of white noise. Vocal enhancement just concentrates on voices, and it actually works quite well. What really made the original HT05 MeloBuds stand out was the sound. Here QCY have used a slightly bigger driver, 12mm as opposed to the 10mm on the HT05, and they've introduced high-res audio courtesy of the LDAC codec. As we know though, codecs are of comparatively little importance compared to the tuning. Before we deep dive into the differences, now you're going to hear binaural samples of both the MeloBuds Pro and the MeloBuds ANC and see some frequency response measurements to help bring those differences to life. So just a very short clip there, but hopefully it was apparent to you the difference in tuning the QCY have adopted between these two models, going from a warmer, smoother sound on the original HT05 to a more open and energetic sound with a punchier bass on the MeloBuds Pro. Both of these sets sound great, but in slightly different ways. QCY have cut a lot of the fat out at around 200 Hz on the MeloBuds Pro, and as I said, it just gives them a punchier bass that resonates really well with more energetic genres like pop, EDM and techno. If you like soul, hip hop and R&B though, you might find that it sounds a little bit thinner with a little bit of the weight taken out of the note on baritone vocalists. But the vocals do sound smoother, and it's the same for female vocals actually, which have a little bit of the lushness taken out on the MeloBuds Pro. They do sound more clean and more crystalline though, but at the same time you will notice a bit of sibilance, particularly on big room vocalists like Adele. The upper trebles roll off ever so slightly earlier on the MeloBuds Pro, which balances nicely against the brighter tonality, and likewise the longer treble extension on the HT05 gives a little bit more shimmer to percussion on a more neutral sounding set. Both the HT05 and the MeloBuds Pro sound great out of the box, as I said, with slightly different tuning profiles. I couldn't say which one of these sounds better. It really will come down to your own personal preference. And remember, you've got plenty of flexibility over being able to tweak and fine tune the sound through the QCY app. You've got a bunch of different pretty usable presets and also a 10-band custom EQ. However, I'm not entirely sure that it's working exactly as it should, as I tried to bring down both the 2 and 4K sliders, but when I measured it, it didn't seem to be having the desired effect. Hopefully this is something that QCY will be able to fix with a future firmware update. As I mentioned previously, these buds support LDAC, but unfortunately I found myself switching it off more often than not. With LDAC on, I found sound could be a bit glitchy, particularly in built up places, and you can't use both LDAC and Multipoint together. For me, I prefer to use Multipoint. In the preset section, you'll notice there is a spatial sound setting as well. I feel like this is more of a me too in QCY, trying to keep up with some of the other brands. And like those other brands, whilst it does kind of open the sound out, it adds a metallic timbre to it, so personally I didn't find myself using this at all. The MeloBuds Pro have 6 mics and claim improved noise reduction over the original HT05. This is how your voice is going to sound when you're in a very quiet room. And coming up, you're going to hear some comparisons in busy real-life locations so you can judge that call quality for yourself. First up, we're testing the QCY MeloBuds Pro in the usual busy indoor coffee shop, but it's the usual mixture of sounds. We've got indistinct chatter and conversations nearby. We've got the sounds of the baristas making coffee. We're going to bring you a few more examples in a moment in busier scenes outdoors. Next up, you're going to hear both the AilyBuds Pro Plus and the QCY HT05 to hear how this performs in comparison. And this time it's a very similar looking AilyBuds Pro Plus. It's just a very short clip. It's in the same busy indoor scene. If you want to hear a full sample of this one, do check out my review. You should see the link appearing either above left or above right. And this time the original QCY HT05 MeloBuds. Again, just as a barometer, as a comparison, so you can see which of these models performs best on your calls. Again, a link appearing above so you can hear a full sample for a true comparison. And this time we're testing the QCY MeloBuds Pro in a very busy, partially indoor, partially outdoor location. Very often you'll have to make or take a call using your earbuds in a busy station like this, and I'm in one of the busiest, London Liverpool Street. This is how you can expect the MeloBuds Pro to perform, and like with the other tests, in a moment you're going to hear the HT05 and the AilyBuds Pro as a comparison. This time it's the AilyBuds Pro Plus, the other new release from QCY, and one which I reviewed very recently. This is how you can expect them to perform on call in a similar busy station location. And this time it's the original MeloBuds ANC, the HT05. Just a very short sample, again in the same busy station location and reflective of how you can expect them to perform on your calls. And this time we're testing how the QCY MeloBuds Pro perform on your calls when you're on the daily commute. So let's say you're walking to work, school, college, something like that, and you've got a mixture of the noise of
lots of people around you, but also traffic noises of different types of vehicles, just the general city sort of life where it's a little bit busier. So this is how you can expect the QCY MeloBuds Pro to perform. And this time's the HT05 in the same busy outdoor location as if we're replicating the daily commute. This is probably one of the busiest roads at the busiest time here in London. It's the road leading up to London Bridge. So you've got, as I said, a mixture of different vehicles, and you've got indistinct chatter as well. So it's reflective of how you can expect these to perform on the daily commute. And the final comparison here is the AilyBuds Pro Plus. That's the other new release from QCY. This is how you can expect these to perform in that similar sort of busy outdoor scene, as I said, with a mixture of different vehicles and typical big city noises.
For me, both of the newer QCY models showed an improvement in both the definition of your voice, in that it comes through pretty clear, but also in that environmental noise reduction, particularly in the busy indoor scenes. For the majority of users, that core performance is going to be perfectly acceptable for the majority of the time. They're easily amongst the best under $50, and they're probably not far off some of the best under $100 as well. The MeloBuds Pro also has some nice little features, including the ability to change the active noise cancellation mode while you're on a call, which the HT05 couldn't do. Within the QCY app, you've got some other cool features, such as the ability to set a timer as to when the earbuds will disconnect and power off. This is particularly useful if you use your earbuds while you're falling asleep. There's a gaming mode which I found synchronized video particularly well. For casual gaming, they're absolutely fine, but if you're playing first-person shooters, I always recommend that you go with wired buds instead. If you're one of those people that misplaces your earbuds, you've also got a Find My Headset mode. Although bear in mind this only works if the buds are connected and they've still got battery. It isn't the loudest alert either, but if you're at home, then more than likely you'll be able to hear it. Another nice feature with the MeloBuds Pro is Quick Charge, which we don't see too often with QCY buds, but they have implemented it here. With 10 minutes with the buds in the case, you get an extra 1 hour's worth of playtime. And their battery life isn't half bad either. You get in around 8 hours with ANC switched off, with ANC switched on around 6 hours, and with ANC on and LDAC an impressive 4 hours. Here you can see at a glance how their single-use playtime compares to some of their competition. Whilst their maximum playtime is a bit short of some of their competitors, they aren't quite as sensitive to adding on those additional features, like for example the Soundcore Liberty 4 NC, which could drop as low as 2.5 hours with ANC and LDAC switched on. The case gives you almost an additional 4 charges as well, so again this is another area of improvement over the original HT05. And the final feature, which the HT05 sadly didn't have, is multi-point connectivity, i.e. the ability to be connected to 2 simultaneous devices. QCY have added this in on the AilyBuds Pro Plus and the MeloBuds Pro, and it's a really welcome feature. The implementation works absolutely fine. You have to pause your primary device before the secondary device will play, but it's only a short wait and it works quite seamlessly. This makes them a much better option than the HT05 for use in the office or even from a home office, where you can be connected to both your laptop and your phone at the same time and not have to mess around disconnecting or reconnecting or using a different set of earbuds when you want to move seamlessly from listening to music on your phone to a Teams call on your laptop. In terms of features, they really do live up to the Pro name, giving you so much more than the original HT05, with the majority of them well implemented too. When I heard the sequel to the HT05 was coming, on one hand, I was really excited to see what QCY could come up with, but on the other, I was quite nervous because how could they possibly top it? But the MeloBuds Pro improve on the HT05 in every way. The build quality, design of both the buds and the case and the comfort all see a big uplift. Active noise cancellation, as you heard, is stronger. Transparency mode is better. Battery life is better as well, and they've added very useful features like in-ear detection and multipoint. The sound might not be better depending on your preference, but it certainly isn't worse. But I would like to see QCY fix those minor issues with the custom EQ which I mentioned previously. Overall, the MeloBuds Pro is fantastic value for money, an absolute steal at £26 and very much the jewel in QCY's crown. What do you think of the MeloBuds Pro? Do leave your comments in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the review or you found it useful, or both or neither, then do give it a like. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. For now, it's ReganCipher signing off.